let's essentially talk about the Canada-Ontario Early Childhood and Childcare Agreement, a 5-year agreement to reduce daycare fees in the short term, provide $10 a day childcare for Ontario families, and create 86,000 new licensed education and daycare spaces across the province. How was last week's event? Did many Portuguese Canadians participate in the virtual meeting?
First, I want to say, é prazer estar aqui com vocês. Muito obrigada pelo vosso convite. Yes? So, look, nice Nuno, you've asked an excellent first question on our national childcare program. All the provinces and territories in Canada had signed on, except for Ontario, and they finally signed on. So now we have a national childcare program fully agreed to by every province and territory. What does this mean for the average person in my big city of Toronto? It means that everybody who has childcare costs, they will see their costs reduced by 50% by the end of this year. Okay, so by the end of December 2022, they will see a 50% reduction of their childcare costs. So on average, it's about $1,200 a child a month to pay childcare. So by the end of this year, $600 of it will be saved. And so it'll go down to 50%. And within 5 years, so it's probably going to be less, it'll be closer to 4 years. But within 5 years, we are then going to reduce the cost down to an average of $10 a day. Okay. This is a huge savings. You know, Nuno, inflation is happening in Portugal. Inflation is happening all over Europe. Inflation is happening around the world and here in Canada. So anything that is going to help families reduce their costs is very important for Torontonians, for all Canadians. So it's a big deal. So the federal government paid over $10 billion to Ontario for this program. And the Ontario government, which is a provincial government, so it's like a state government, they paid about $265 million. So we paid 95% of the money, and then the province paid the rest. But we are happy to do it because not only are we taking care of our children, not only are we saving money, we're also making sure everybody, every parent, whether you're a man or a woman, has a chance to work full-time and to make money and to support your family and to achieve your potential.
Very well. As you said before in this statement, the world and the Europe, Portugal, Canada deal with the global inflation. But what are the federal government supports to deal with this global inflation?
Well, you know, there's no government that can control the global inflation because the prices are so most of it is coming because of the oil prices, right? So most of it's oil. And right now, the majority of the increase right now over the last couple of months has been because of the Russian attack and the Russian war on Ukraine. Okay, so what's happening right now is Europe, and I think you're seeing this, Nuno, particularly Germany, and they're trying to redirect where they get their energy from. So they're trying to become less dependent on Russia, and they're trying to get their energy sources from somewhere else. But that is proving to be a very difficult short-term thing. And then the world, because everything is now starting to redirect to Europe, to Germany, then what's happening is it's costing greater costs to places like Canada and Europe. But this is not good news for families, but we understand that this is not something we can control other than the government of Canada can introduce things like national childcare, right? And a number of other programs that we're introducing that is going to reduce everyday costs for Canadians.
The budget includes the largest federal investment in housing ever, along with the $10 a day for daycare, the expansion of the Canada Workers Benefit, increases in the Canada Child Benefits, and the federal minimum wage. Was it the necessary response after a pandemic that had a major impact on Canadian society?
Look, the heart and soul of this budget, because we're coming out of COVID. We're not quite out of COVID, but we're coming out of COVID. And this budget, actually, about 65% of it is about how do we grow our economy while we're transitioning to net zero by 2050. Okay, that's the majority. But you're absolutely right when you're saying that there is the single largest investment in housing ever in the history of our country, okay? Because for too long, the federal government and all levels of government in Canada didn't put enough money into creating more houses. And now we're into a crisis. And so we don't have enough houses for all of, for Canadians, for Canadian youth, as well as for all the new immigrants that are coming to our country that are helping to build out our country, okay? So we are planning on doubling the number of housing that is constructed within the next 10 years. We're planning on doubling that. And then we're also providing a number of programs that's going to help Canadians save to be able to better afford their first houses. And we're also ensuring that we don't have any foreign buyers of our residential housing, okay? Because many people who are foreigners, and it's not a huge percentage, but a certain number of foreigners are buying some of our residential houses and they're renting it. So we said, you know what, no more of that. We have to leave the houses, whatever exists for Canadians, for Canadian children and grandchildren, for new immigrants that are coming to help build out our country and to help build those houses. We want to make sure that it stays, and rests within Canadian or permanent resident ownership. So that's a big change, and you're absolutely right. That is a fundamental part of our budget.
The federal government has introduced a new bill that includes a proposed distribution of $6 billion to provinces and territories to help alleviate surgery delays caused by COVID-19. With restrictions easing in several provinces, do you feel that action is now needed? And will the $6 billion be needed on top of that with the increase in cases of COVID-19?
Another excellent question. And I will tell you, this is one of the key questions that definitely comes from the Portuguese community here, because many of them have been waiting. They've been waiting for hip surgery and cataract surgery and heart surgery and cancer surgery. And they said, Julie, can the federal government help? Because in Canada, it's the state government that is responsible for the money to pay for healthcare. But the federal government said, you know what, we know that COVID was very expensive and very difficult for our hospitals and for our healthcare systems across this country. So we will, as a federal government, come in and provide an additional $6 billion to reduce the backlogs of surgeries and procedures. It is very helpful, very, very helpful, because in addition to that, Nuno, we're also increasing on an ongoing basis how much we're giving. We're giving an additional about 4.5% additional dollars to provinces and territories just for ongoing healthcare. Why? Because our population's getting older. So you have an aging population, it's more expensive. And also we want to make sure that they are transitioning to be more digital, to be more flexible, so that we always have access to the best technologies and so that we can offer the best healthcare to Canadians.
Will new immigrants or newcomers also benefit from this federal budget?
Well, yes, they will, for a number of things. So first, we are bringing in a historic amount of immigrants. So we're going to be bringing in over 450,000 new Canadians. Nuno, you might not know this, but we have we have a labor shortage. We have 1 million jobs that need to be filled. We cannot fill all the jobs, and they're not jobs just in restaurants or, the hospitality sector, but they're jobs in our healthcare sector, in our construction sector, in our manufacturing sector. They are everywhere. So, and we have an aging population, and we also have a population where we're not having a lot of children. We're having 1.2 kids on average, okay? So not a lot of kids. So we need more immigrants. So the good news for them is that we are bringing more of them in. We're making sure that they are have an easier access to be able to access a lot of the jobs that are available. And we're also, and this was money that we put into last year's budget, but we're also going to improve our immigration system because it takes so long to immigrate to Canada. We're going to digitize our immigration system so it's faster for people to immigrate here. And I'll say one more thing because it's very big for the Portuguese community here. Over the years, we've had a number of Portuguese come to fill jobs that we need them to fill, and they're non-status. So they don't have any documents, but they've been working hard and they've been doing a really good job in our different sectors. So I'm working hard to try to make sure that we normalize them, that we legalize them so that they have status and so that their kids can go to university and they can have easier access to our medical healthcare system and all the other things. So I'm working hard on that. And that's something that I'm hoping that we can find some success this year.
What programs and support will be given to small businesses, such as restaurants and civil construction?
If you talk to people in the construction industry, the number one thing they ask for, Nuno, is they said, look, we need the skilled tradespeople. We need people the semi-skilled and the skilled workers. And so please make sure that we have the labor that we need to be able to construct the new houses, the new hospitals, the new condos, everything that we're trying to build. So that's the number one ask. And the construction industry has also been on the forefront of asking us to normalize non-status workers because they know they're hard workers. They know that they've been, many of these workers have been working for them for 5-10 years. They have families, so we want to normalize them. So that's one. Two, for small businesses, look, Canada's been lucky, okay? Because we have recovered 112% of the jobs that were lost before the pandemic, okay? Mm-hmm. And the other thing that we've done is that, so our unemployment rate is down to 5.5%. And then also we have, our economy has recovered to a full percentage point of where it was before the pandemic. So our growth numbers are great. Our economy is good. We have fulfilled all of the jobs and more. And then we still have so many jobs that we have to fill, okay? But we want to continue to support our small businesses. So what we've announced, and this was announced from last year's budget, but we're still spending the money right now, okay, is we are helping small businesses in their digital transformation, okay? Mm-hmm. So anybody who's a small or medium-sized business that wants to adopt new digital technologies, we will help to pay for that at the federal level. We want everybody to have the latest technologies so that they can be able to service their customers both here in Canada and to actually serve global markets as well. And so that is a key thing that we're going to do, as well as we're going to continue to try to keep our taxes low so that it remains a competitive marketplace for our small businesses moving forward.